I thought OCD was like literally not even a disorder. I thought it was some meaningless kind of personality quirk. And so I would use it all the time. Like I'm so OCD, about organizing my closet without an understanding of like how tormenting it really is.
OCD, also known as Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, is a disorder that's characterized as having recurrent and persistent thoughts or images that are intrusive and often cause a lot of anxiety and distress to the individual. And in order to counteract or neutralize some of that, they might perform a compulsion. So this is a repetitive behavior such as hand washing and checking, or even mental acts such as praying and counting that are often very much time consuming and cause a functional impairment for that person.
With my kind of OCD, it manifests under the form of intrusive thoughts. And so oftentimes the content tends to be very taboo. And so I had a lot of self-harm obsessions. I was scared I was going to harm my family. I also had a lot of sensory motor and somatic obsessions. So like a hyper awareness of your like body function. So like I would like focus on my breathing and like my swallowing and things like that.
It's hard to kind of give a date or find a time when I was diagnosed with OCD, because a lot of my compulsions and symptoms related to OCD date back when I was a child. I even remember like old report cards when I was in like second or third grade talking about the nail biting or like counting a little bit and like some OCD tendencies.
A common myth associated with OCD is that people are germaphobes and that they're just always obsessing around cleanliness. In fact, obsessions or compulsive behaviors can deal with a whole variety of different thought intrusions and concerns that that person's brain becomes more fixated upon.
I definitely had a lot of misconceptions. I thought it was mostly, the stereotypical like people who are really clean, or people who like their things like a certain way, or like straight lines and things like that. So I think it was kind of a shock when I first heard it. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. After I first got diagnosed, I started looking into it and realized that it actually did make a lot of sense, and that I just wasn't properly informed.
Individuals who are managing OCD symptoms may not actually always have their symptoms visible to others. You might not know that someone is struggling with OCD symptoms or is recovering actively and working on them just because they're not touching a light switch 10 times a day.
2 years ago, I felt this kind of like mental like switch. And by that point, I had a fear of suicide. I was just like scared because like I didn't want to tell my therapist about it at the time. It was just so bad that like I decided to just like hospitalize myself. And I honestly had no other choice. Like I didn't know what else to do. I'm doing much better than I was. I'm currently in therapy doing exposure and response prevention, which is the gold standard for OCD. For coping mechanisms, when I'm really not doing well, I tend to gravitate towards support groups and just focusing on community and like giving back through my work, or just like talking to people. And honestly, there's nothing more healing than knowing that you have like a group of people next to you, whether it's like digitally or in real life, that just get it and that are also struggling next to you.
Today, I'm actually doing pretty well. I'm still figuring out how to move forth with treatment and seeing a new doctor that specializes in OCD. I find that every year when like the summer comes around or the weather starts to get nicer, I start to be like, oh, you don't need that much help, you're fine. But then like in the middle of summer, like I just crash and it's like, no, you still need help. So just trying to like focus on making sure that I'm getting help and that I'm continuing to like see someone